Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer, and we are returning to Rule the Waves 2, where we are in war against three nations. The Soviet Union has bogged down, but we are in war against Germany, France, and Japan. So, somewhat of an unholy alliance as the US, but it's only 1.5 years till the end of the game, so I think this is a very nice cataclysmic clash over here. Last time we did start out with a surprise attack actually by the Japanese, which is one of the national specialties in the game, on our base in Tsingtao, but it was a very good one for us. We have some of our ships are damaged, and that is a bit of an issue. Specifically, two of our carriers, the Lubang and Biscay, were damaged in the initial assault. But on the other hand, we've also quite a couple of things going for us. So we've sunk, I think, two of their main battle aircraft carriers. So let's look at the almanac. Japan really beaten down. They still have 3 battle cruisers. We have 2 battle cruisers in that area. They have only 1 carrier left, but it's a very large one. We do have 4 carriers in the area, the Yorktown classes and the Lubang classes. Lubang classes both being damaged. But yeah, that does give us an edge over them for the moment. Although they also have some light cruisers, some light carriers, some heavy carriers. Some of them are a weird mix where they carry also a lot of aircraft, so that is a bit of an issue. And Germany and France, these guys are outmatching us significantly. So we have only 3 battleships, they have got 2 combined, they also have 3 battle cruisers, so it will be 1 against 5 I guess in that area. We have 4 Ranger classes, currently on the American East Coast, which we're going to sail into Northern Europe I guess. They have 3 carriers to oppose us, and 3 carriers to oppose us and about 4 light carriers, so probably we'll be outmatched there, but it's certainly going to be interesting. They also have a lot of heavy cruisers, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. So most of our ships are in Northeast Asia or on the American East Coast, so let's zoom out here and have a look at that. We are outmatching the Japanese here in Northeast Asia, so I think that is very good. We'll be keeping pretty much our forces here as they are. We only lost a single destroyer. We still have 15 destroyers here, so I think that's pretty alright. Germany has dispersed forces on our west coast and in the Caribbean. I don't think we want to hunt them down individually. I think it makes the most sense to simply move into Northern Europe and try to intercept them there. The alternative, what we could also do, is move into the Caribbean and then move into Northern Europe next turn and hope to intercept some Germans here very far away from their bases, and they might even send out a couple of forces here from the west coast back to here, and that might be interesting. So you know what, I think that is a good plan. So let's grab our battleships, the Ranger class carriers, I guess some of these light cruisers, the San Francisco class, I'm guessing all of these Reed class destroyers. Yeah, they are pretty large, they are pretty good ships. They carry 5-inch guns, dual purpose guns, so they are very good anti-air weapons. I guess the Truxtons as well are very nice and modern destroyers that I want to grab and have around. And that means we can probably keep the hull classes on the east coast itself as sort of a home protection, and I think that's going to be alright. Yeah, so let's send all of these ships, 34 ships in total, towards first the Caribbean, and then next turn we're going to move them over towards Northern Europe. So yeah, let's take an eye here. Let's take a look here. So we've got our battleships, our battle cruisers. These battleships they're moving towards the Caribbean. Battle cruisers are in Asia. And then we've got all of these light cruisers that are sort of a mixed bag. We've got a couple of light cruisers that are doing colonial duties. Then we've got these Ranger classes that are also moving towards the Caribbean. Yorktown and Lubang, these are there, that's fine. And then we have a lot of ships on trade protection, including, so some of our guys here, no, you know what, this is a little bit silly, I don't like this, so we're right. A couple of our guys here are minesweepers. We've got a couple of them in Northern Europe, some of them so already in Northern Europe, some of them in Northeast Asia, a lot of corvettes in Northern Europe. To try to hunt down their submarines, because they have an unholy amount of submarines. We don't have any, but the Germans have 71, France has 56, and Japan, so that's over 150, maybe 160 submarines, and that is a big issue. I'm guessing we can't really do anything about the aircrafts. Can we give them any mission? No, we cannot. So, not sure how we are supposed to change the anti-submarine warfare thingy over here unless we are to use carriers. I've moved a couple of guys here from our reserve towards the airbase of Tsingtao and just rotated them because the experience here is only fair, and these guys who were in reserve are veterans, so we are bringing new fighters, basically better fighters, into the bay in Northeast Asia. And in reserve we now have 2 fighter squadrons that are only fair quality, but they will be building up over time, so I think that's going to be alright. I guess we can also change the doctrine. No, we are already changing that, so I'm guessing this is fine then. We do have a lot of money left, but there's not that much that we can do with this. We are building up some of our bases, and that I think is appreciated, but I don't think we need that much more, so you know what? Let's take the turn and see what's going to happen. Some engine problems, Soviet medium bomber, faster than our medium bombers, that's alright. We've sunk 10 enemy submarines, so that's a very good success. They are getting 100 points. We also get a convoy defense. We have two heavy cruisers over here and 8 destroyers, and the French do come in with a couple of battleships. I don't quite believe that they have so many battleships. Let's see what's going to happen over here. So we've got a lot of transport ships. We've got the 2 Hudson class heavy cruisers over here. These are fairly new ships. They haven't really been combat tested. They certainly don't match up against enemy battleships or anything alike. Then we've got a couple of destroyers here that are screening these guys, so that's okay. Yeah, we are very far away from our bases though. That is a bit of an issue. Bermuda is the closest one, so yeah, indeed, it's probably us against their ships. There's no support from our land based ships, and there we are. There's an enemy ship. Let's go to max speed here with our heavy cruisers and try to... Well, they're seeming to go away from us. Also, they have an aircraft over there, and that's interesting to see. Well, at least let's try to come about over here. Okay, they are streaming towards us now, and this is within gun range, I suppose, or very close to it, and it's supposedly a battleship. There's only a very limited amount of things that we can do against battleships. Okay, firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to take our destroyers, and we are going to take them away from AI control. We're going to tell them to be independent, line ahead, and that is going to be alright. Max speed. So you're trying to form up, and the air is blowing from the north, so I would much rather like to come down to the south. And I guess what you can do is produce smoke. So you guys are all laying smoke, and I guess what we need to do is, if this is truly a battleship, and there's another unidentified ship down there, if it's truly a battleship, then I think what we have to do is come in very close to them to maybe get a chance to defeat them. Yeah, so they do have a battleship left, and there's 8 16-inch guns. It has 12.5 Belgian armor. So that's pretty good. And 16 6-inch guns. All frontal armament. We, on the other hand, have significantly less. Well, we also have a similar amount of secondary guns. Yeah, I think we just have to come in close. Use our superior rate of fire and just try to go that way. Meanwhile, we are trying to stay behind the smoke of our destroyers. And yes, it's indeed this ship. Oh no, it's a different ship. I didn't even see that. Oh, it's a battle cruiser. Okay, that's why. So it's slightly faster. Still, secondary battery is slightly worse even. And battery is slightly worse. 30 knots is a very high speed though. Okay, let's try to crisscross over here and try to come in front of it. Try to use what superior speed we have. So there's another battle cruiser down. Oh dear god, this is not an evenly matched fight at all. Well, we did score a hit there. That's nice to see, but they're using all of their guns. So we have a big issue over here. Okay, let's try to produce an intercept course. Really not sure how realistic that is. At least we are hitting them. So that's nice. I mean, it's totally insufficient in terms of the damage that we are doing. But I guess what we can do is try to break in these destroyers behind them. We are scoring hits, but we're scoring a lot of hits actually. But we are being hit in turn. Here's the Hudson. You've been hit one time. Did it do anything? Penetrated your belt armor. You haven't been hit really, but one of your turrets is stuck. So that is an issue. And there's this other battlecruiser down there. But we have to drive him off of our friendly ships. We are scoring hits. That's nice. I mean, if we could take out one of their turrets, that'd be great. Actually, only one of the turrets is firing on us now, so we might actually want to make use of that and try to sail a little bit behind it. I think our frontal guns are much more... Well, we have 9 frontal guns. They only have 3 backwards facing guns, which are currently trying to engage our destroyers actually. And the Yucatan is back in action, so that's nice to see. Yeah, and more hits there, so that's great. If we can take out this one turret... Yes! Yes! Dear God, that's great. So I'm not sure whether it has simply jammed or what happened, but we have that turret here back. That rear turret is out of action, and that means either he's going to turn around or he's not going to be able to use his main battery at all, which means he's limited to these 5-inch guns, and he's actually being outgunned at this very moment. And we continue to score some hits there, so that's pretty neat. I think these destroyers can... are you still laying smoke? You shouldn't be laying smoke. Okay, Hudson has been hit by that battlecruiser down there. Well, that's unfortunate. We can't really do much about that, but it's a 16-inch hit. So we might want to check what they actually have in that regard. And this guy's turrets are now back in action and trying to fire on our destroyers. So let's bring these guys about and maybe launch a couple of torpedoes at this Marseille class. Just individual hits so far. He's still fairly fast, and he's being raked by 4-inch guns, which is I guess very... I mean, I applaud your idea in trying to do this, but I don't think that's really how you should be trying to deal with that. Warrington is hit by a medium gun, 5-inch gun. Yeah, that's already a very devastating blow. Still this guy, ooh, he's down to 1 turret only, which is of course excellent news for us. A pass-through hit on the Hudson. Pass-through is generally fine because it means it's not exploding in the ship itself. So that's nice. This guy has suffered medium damage. We are scoring hits there, but I'm not sure whether this is enough, so let's sail around over here. Ooh, lots of hits on the Marseille class, but mostly very small guns, so it's not really that meaningful. Warrington is hit again, but we are scoring some hits, also with the medium guns with the 9-inch guns on the Hudson. Unfortunately, the rear turret is not really in action there. And he's still going fairly fast. The Hudson should be trying to use all of its guns soon. And if he's turning around, you might actually start to launch some torpedoes here. Come on. I know you want to. No torpedoes. Okay. And the Hudson needs to come about. Score some more hits there. We might actually take this guy out. I mean, at any moment this rear turret could come back into action, and that would be slightly bad for us, so let's not get too optimistic. Marseille class hit, and then we've got better information on this guy down here, which is actually coming up. So this is truly a battleship. And again, 2 of its turrets are out of action, so that's pretty good to see, but is it going to be enough? We could try to drive it off with our destroyers, while our heavy cruisers are trying to engage the Marseille. Or we could turn around and just focus on the battleship. How fast are you though? 30 knots, so we can't really outrun you. It's a much heavier ship. But for now, most of its guns are out of action. The Hudson has suffered some severe damage, but I think they also are carrying torpedo rounds, so you know what, let's come down here. Let's forget about the Marseille class. I think we might have driven it off, but we can't fight both of them at the same time. It would be really nice to finish it off, but with this battleship about, I don't think that is something that is viable at this very moment. Okay, he's not really crossing out. Oh shit, sorry. The Hudson. You have a damaged rudder. And that might well cost us the victory here. Okay, you know what? If the Warrington is independent now, we're going to try to drive it towards the Marseille class. Then these guys down here, this is most of them, you can actually lay smoke and come about this way. You continue to score some hits here on the Marseille, which is appreciated, but I think we might actually have to focus on this battleship here. We could also, of course, also just simply try to run away. And that might not be the worst idea. Maybe sacrifice the Warrington and just drive off with the battle cruisers, heavy cruisers. I mean, your rudder is damaged anyway. Marseille class hit, Marseille class hit. That's all very nice, but there's only 9-inch guns, so against a single capital, I would have taken the battle, I think. But with the situation as is, I don't think that's viable at all. Okay, you go max speed, Hudson, try to break off. I think your rudder is back in action. Yeah, it is. So certainly nice. You're only using your rear turret now, but all in all, that should be okay. Marseille class is actually coming about. You guys here, please do lay smoke. You're still doing this, so let's try to lay smoke behind our Yukon class. Yukon class continues to be pounded over here, but soon we might be doing a little bit better. Right, yeah, do sail north, you sail north as well. Yukon is being hit again. And you're losing speed now. That's not great because you have been hit in the engine room. 22 knots. Okay, there's only one answer to this. There's only one answer to this. And that is, we need to do a torpedo run. Okay, let's take out those destroyers. You're in a line ahead formation, you are independent, you are getting the max speed that you can. Let's drive out. Ooh, someone launched torpedoes at some point, that's interesting. Yukon, you're trying to run away this way. Warrington, you're also coming in. Hudson, you're trying to cover the retreat of the Yukon, so you need to come in closer. And you guys need to come a little bit aside of these Soldados so that you have a chance of launching your torpedoes there. Yes! Turn around. Nice! Two torpedo hits. That's what you get for not covering your battleships, sorry. Not covering your battleships appropriately. Okay, let's try to bring you about. Try to see whether we can do another launch. That should slow you down significantly though. That might enable us to escape with the Yukon. And the Yukon just needs to drive home as fast as possible. Which at this point is not very fast. Let's bring the Hudson sort of on a perpendicular course. Yukon engine room hit again. So down to 60 knots now. This is very brutal. A hit on the flosser here, which is certainly very, very peculiar. And let's bring the Warrington this way. Come on, launch. I know you can launch torpedoes. You're basically ramming them. Come on, at this distance, it would be so great for you to launch. Okay, they're not doing that. Okay, Hudson and Yukon are back to operating somewhat normally. All of these destroyers have suffered severe damage. But maybe we can drive off. I mean, it looks like they're trying to withdraw over here. Heavy damage, 15 knots. Yeah, I don't want all of my destroyers to be taken apart, basically. I mean, just look at the Flosser. 2 medium hits. But you did good. You did real good. That battle cruiser down there, Flosser is falling back a little bit. But yeah, I think these guys are licking their wounds as well and trying to break off. No, let's go 60 knots instead. In fact, let's go 50 knots. And Yukon as well. Flosser, okay, let's take a second here to look at our damage. Yukon, you are not suffering any flooding, so that's okay. So you guys can actually go back to being screening for the cruisers. And then our cruisers can go somewhat back to this direction. Let's say due west. And let's go to fast speed over here. So I hope that we are not going to see any action. Recon. Yeah, we've got some flights, but the mainland is way too far away to do any real damage. I think there are some aircrafts over here that are trying to do something. What is this, actually? Medium bombers. Ooh, interesting. So if these medium bombers had come into play earlier, that would be great, but I just don't think that is something that we're going to see. Yeah, so let's stick towards these guys. Nighttime is certainly favorable to us. Yeah, so let's end the scenario here. Use a major victory, indeed. So there, well, one of our guys is heavily damaged. The Yukon, probably a lot of our destroyers are heavily damaged. Their battleship is heavily damaged, so that's great to see. The Salerno, how much did you suffer? A lot of light hits, a couple of medium hits, 2 torpedo hits. I think if we had hit you once more with the torpedo, that might have done it for you. Just 1 or 2 more torpedo hits, that would have been great. But yeah, it's just... It was okay. I do consider this a victory, so you know what, that is fine to me. Let's leave the scenario. Gonna get some victory points. Yeah, let's save that battle. And that should be fine. Right, so a lot of guys on trade protection, a lot of guys on mine clearing. Then we've got a couple of our guys in Northeast Asia, that's okay. Some of them are still suffering some damage. Flosser and Warrington out of action for 3 months. Truxton for 2. Lubang and Biscay are being repaired. And then we've got our heavy cruisers that are damaged and out of action for 1 to 2 turns. That's okay. We haven't really intercepted the Germans in the Caribbean though. The Germans are apparently on, a couple of them at least, are on the east coast. Where did they all go? They must have went... They had a very significant force on the west coast. So they pretty much dispersed, didn't they? Some towards down here, yeah, light carrier. Heavy cruiser here. Lots of them in the Mediterranean actually, for some reason. 3 and that carrier actually. So I suppose what we have to do is take our guys in the Caribbean and move them over towards Northern Europe. San Bernardino has some engine troubles, but so it's gonna lag behind by 1 turn, but you know what, I think we can do without that. Right. Other than that, our battle cruisers in Northeast Asia are doing fine. Most of our ships are indeed doing fine. We will be getting new ships in sometime. A new destroyer, couple of light cruisers, which is certainly appreciated. Oh, I still need to rename you at some point, after an S-class. In between episodes, probably. some heavy cruisers. That's going to be extremely appreciated in 3 months, although they of course do need to start working up as well. But I think it was extremely good of us to see so many submarines being sunk, and I guess most of them Germans. A couple of Japanese ones probably as well. Yeah, so that's great to see. That being said, I think this is a very good place to put in a cut and see what we're going to do next time. So thank you very much for watching. Do leave a like and all of that, and yeah, see you again next time. Bye bye.